And now, it's Boomer Life. Lifestyle discussion designed to make your life more engaging, meaningful, and complete. Celebrating the baby boomer generation, this is Boomer Life on CIL 650.
Can't you hear the pounding of my heartbeat? 'Cause you're the one I love.
Hey, and welcome back to Boomer Life on CL 650. I'm Zach Spencer, and today we have a full plate just in time for the holidays, getting into hearing aids with Next Gen Hearing, and our guest every time is Dr. Ted Venema. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Ted.
Hey, good to be back again.
Now, today, you can kind of give us a little bit of a rundown of what we have scheduled for the show, because it's quite interesting. Yeah. We're getting your take on it as a registered audiologist, but also we have some manufacturers coming on board.
That's right. Yep.
So what do we have today?
We have we have representatives from 3 different manufacturers of hearing aids, and there's only about 7 out there. We have 3 of them here today. One is Resound. Mm-hmm. And the other one is Phonak, Phonak, and the other one is Oticon. Okay. And so these 3, we'll be talking a little bit about some of the specific product performances, features, benefits, but it'll be from their perspective, sure. i.e. and not me talking about it.
Yeah. Well, we have you here because we have some other things we want to talk about, like terminology.
Exactly.
And that's what's so great about you, having to know you here over the last year, is that you're so adept at taking things that are hard to understand and making them easy to understand.
Well, we try.
Yeah.
It's today's is a digital era, and today's hearing aids are digital.
Well, you can help me introduce our first guest, Victoria McLeod. And, Victoria's with which company?
Resound.
Okay.
And I've known Victoria for over the past few years. I used to run a shop in Victoria, and she would come around and explain and Resound products to me so that I could be better able to fit them on customers.
Well, Victoria, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
All right. Now, we want to get in, first of all, what is Resound? Tell us a bit about the business.
Resound is the manufacturer that I work for, have worked for numerous years. And they are the 4th largest manufacturer of hearing aids worldwide at this point. And more than anything, well, they're Danish, owned and operated, which is interesting to some people. There are actually 3 manufacturers that are based in Denmark, which is fascinating. Who knew the Danes were all over hearing care? So Resound is another Danish hearing care company. And why I love them and have been with them for so long and have used them so successfully is the fact that they're great innovators. They have brought to market some fantastic innovations that have changed the way people use and think of hearing aids.
So I see here as well, there's Resound and Beltone. Is that something you deal with as well?
Well, we are both owned by the same corporate entity. So GN Hearing Care owns both Resound and Beltone, but they're run as 2 separate brands and 2 separate divisions.
Okay, so you're all about Resound.
I am all about Resound, and I don't know hardly anything about Beltone.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, that's why we have Dr. Ted Venema here. Now, Ted, we want to get into a little bit, before we get into what Resound offers in the marketplace, you can give us an overview of, you mentioned it, we live in a digital era. So how have things changed? Now, Dr. Venema is just updating his book that he was telling me about. It's going to be coming out. But you told me the last time you had updated it was in 2006, right?
That's right.
So between 2006 and 2017, a lot has changed.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all come down to digital, right?
Yeah, it is.
So explain what analog hearing aids were and where we're at today.
Yeah, hearing aids today are no longer those beige bananas that people wear behind the ears that squeal.
I'm sure a lot of people are thankful of that, right?
Yeah, they're much smaller, but they're also a lot more sophisticated. Yesterday's hearing aids were analog, and people always say, what the heck is analog? Well, you think of the word analogous. They took analog instrumentation with sound, makes an electrical current that's exactly like the sound waves. So the electrical current inside the hearing aid is a mirror image of the sound waves coming into the hearing aid. And then that electrical current is made into sound again by the speaker of the hearing aid. And the sound waves are bigger because they're amplified, but they are analogous to the electrical wave.
So you can't really change them.
Yeah.
You could
change bass and you could change treble.
It's like your old hi-fi stereo. That's all you could change.
Exactly.
And balance, right?
And when you think of records, spinning on a turntable. The needle wiggles, and the wiggles of the needle create electrical currents that are analogous to the wiggles of the needle.
Right.
And then the amplifier makes those electrical currents bigger, and then the speakers are the woofer and tweeter of your speakers is going back and forth exactly analogously to the electrical current.
So where are we today?
Today it's digital, so we've added numbers.
Okay.
Now the electrical current is changed into digits.
Ones and
All
zeros,
ones
right?
and zeros. And with math, you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant because now it's all formulas.
Right.
So you can use digital noise reduction. You can have the hearing aids learn from past behavior of what the client's doing. So the hearing aids so you can build in complex, what they call digital instructions. Sometimes they call these algorithms. So today's hearing aids processed digitally. It's not just sound into electricity back into sound, but it's sound into electricity into digits into electricity into sound.
That extra step makes a big difference.
You bet. That's the digital signal processor. And that's what allows for the increased sophistication.
So you have much more than treble and bass and left and right.
Oh,
you now can go in there and tweak it.
Yeah, they'll wake you up in the morning and make coffee for you, just about.
Well, you kind of joke, but there are things that hearing aids can do now, right? So
exactly.
In the past, as you called them, the banana, right? And they did squeal because I've heard them.
Yeah.
But now they are able to compensate for that,
there's
right?
there's automatic digital whistle suppression or that feedback that you got. It's digitally sampled, and then they just make a counter sound wave against it to knock it out. So you have automatic feedback or automatic whistle reduction. You have digital noise reduction.
Now, from what I've learned from you, Dr. Venema, over the years, the past year, is that noise suppression and cancellation and isolating voice, for example, is really where the science is, right? That's where you get the sort of the gold, silver, and bronze hearing aid, right?
Increasing what they call the speech-to-noise ratio.
Okay.
Making speech louder than the background noise so the hearing impaired person can better separate speech from the competing background noise. Because let's face it, background noise is the biggest complaint of hearing aid wearers. So today's technology is all aimed at how to handle listening and speech, how to better hear speech, what you want to hear, amidst complex listening environments like noisy restaurants, cafeterias, outside, traffic, all this stuff.
Well, I find not needing a hearing aid yet, maybe one day, even a loud restaurant to me is confusing when you're talking to somebody that's maybe at the end of a long table, right?
That's right. And when you have hearing loss, it's harder yet to separate speech from noise.
But you can also add on, so that's the actual like hearing part of it, but there's also this sort of the fun stuff that these things can do. So what else can hearing aids do?
They can communicate with your television wirelessly, communicate with your telephone wirelessly, your iPad, iPod. I mean, it's phenomenal now.
That Bluetooth call that comes into your car can actually go right into your ear.
You bet.
Really?
And Victoria will tell you a little bit more about Resound's particular take on that because Resound has a unique approach to that as well.
Okay, well, thanks for teeing that up. I don't even need to be here today. You're so good at this, Dr. Venema.
Yeah, right.
That's the voice of Dr. Ted Venema. You're listening to Boomer Life, and we're here with Next Gen Hearing talking about the options out there in the marketplace. Also joining us on the phone is Victoria McLeod from Resound. Where's your office, Victoria?
Oh, in lovely, snowy, chilly Winnipeg, Manitoba is where I happen to live.
Oh, wow. We've enjoyed...
Resound's head office is in Toronto, much more livable.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's get into what is, how do you say this? Is it links to? Is that how you say it? Resound?
You know what? We'll take it either way, but it was designed to be link squared.
Oh, okay.
We had an original Lynx product, and this was the next generation, so we squared it. Much more powerful.
Right. So tell us, what is that? What are you offering?
The Link Square, that would be, without a doubt, the most successful hearing aid Resound has ever launched. It has a dual-core computer chip, actually, which means that it's pretty darn smart. It's really fast. It's more powerful, actually, that computer chip, than the computer system that put the first person on the moon, remarkably enough. It does millions of calculations a second. So just like Ted was saying, that allows it to be really smart and try to take out some of that noise, try to make it easier for the signal-to-noise ratio. It really means that it also takes care of feedback extremely well. It allows people wearing it to hear their environment much more naturally and more clearly than ever before. It even has now a new integrated spatial sense technology, which means that it's designed to give users a really vivid sense of space and speech with great sound quality.
So can it
computer chip.
Can it tell you like it's coming from one side versus the other? Because that's a more natural sound, right?
Yes, absolutely. And there are some companies that have been compensating for that idea of where sound is in space. But other companies do not, and this was something that Resound brought into its portfolio in this past year. So imagine, going out and hearing the sounds of nature, right? And oftentimes you're thinking, well, that's a lovely call. I wonder where that is. Well, where's the bird in the tree? Hearing aids sometimes do not actually preserve the cues that allow you to find where the bird is in the tree, so you can be craning your neck all around. And so with the Resound Spatial Sense, you actually have the ability. It preserves those cues so that you look in the right direction. It is much more natural.
So how does that work? Like you have this system. Can you explain how it works?
Well, the hearing aids are actually now communicating. And so hearing aids, the left ear and the right ear, share information back and forth with each other. So they can actually start to tell, a sound hit one ear a little earlier than it hit the other ear. That's what happens naturally as we hear with humans. That's how you can tell when you're about to step off the curb what direction this car is coming from, right? You turn your head in the proper direction because that sound wave hits one ear, will sound closer to the car before that sound hits the other ear. And in hearing aids, those cues have not always been maintained, keeping the loudness louder on one side versus the other. And we're now preserving that in Resound, giving you a sense of spatialness, spatial awareness, hence why we call it spatial sense.
Okay, so you have other benefits as well, like the connectivity we talked about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Back in 2010, we introduced wireless technology, brand new to the market. No one had ever had a truly wireless hearing aid before, which means that it allows you to connect to the TV wirelessly with no other intermediary devices. That's intermediary devices is a big word, just simply meaning your hearing aids talk directly to a TV, or they can be paired to talk directly to your phone. So there's nothing else on you that you have to add in order to make that system work. And that was way back in 2010, and we've continued to evolve that system so that, as Ted has mentioned, it's really important that you are able to hear in every environment that you go into. And just wearing hearing aids on their own doesn't necessarily do that for you. As you were mentioning, Zach, when you're in a noisy environment, you don't wear hearing aids. You don't have a hearing loss as far as you know. Yet you find that a challenging environment.
Yes.
Right? Imagine if you had a tiny little microphone that you could hand to somebody, and that microphone beamed their voice directly into your ears.
So that's like when I do TV, I wear the little lapel mic.
Yep.
So that's the same thing, right?
Yeah. And
That is exactly.
Yeah, the net effect is like bringing the hearing aid up to the lips of the speaker.
Yeah, well, that would make a massive difference in a busy restaurant, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So Resound pioneered technology that in some instances can allow people with a hearing loss to actually do better in really challenging environments than people with no hearing loss.
Yeah, that's what I was. I was at a Christmas party recently, and it was noisy, and I was struggling. And but it was just the amount of talking and clanging and what was going on in the background. Now, I guess so. You say, okay, you can connect right to the TV or what have you. So you do have the ability to also go in there and change settings, right? You must have an app, or can you change like an outdoor setting versus an indoor setting versus a noisy room or a quiet space?
Yeah.
Can you do all that?
Yeah, so we have all of that available. So there's actually two levels of adjustability with Resound. And I think it's fairly common now, has been for several years, that many manufacturers offer very basic remote control. So something that you fish out of your pocket, or maybe it's hanging around your neck, and you can change programs and volume control. That's been fairly standard now for a few years. But in the world of Resound, we have an app. It's called the Smart app. And if you're using a hearing instrument that you've purchased from Resound in the past 3 years or so, the Smart app may very well work for you. And what the Smart app does is it works on a Samsung Galaxy 5, 6, or 7, the Apple products, all the current generations of Apple products. And you download the app, and not only are you able to now control your volume and your program, but you can also start to modify the sound characteristics, just like in your car when you want to crank up the bass, to really appreciate a piece of music. You can do the same thing. You can adjust your bass and treble using our Smart app. Some people, using this correct level of technology with Resound, can even go in and alter the noise reduction. Just as you're saying, Zach, so if you're sitting in the restaurant and thinking, gosh, this is really bad, this Christmas party has just kicked up a notch, you can go into your Smart app and increase your level of noise reduction so that it's less impactful for you. That noise is less bothersome for you. You can even narrow a directional beam, like really squeeze in so that you're really focusing on the person right in front of you. You can reduce the amount of wind noise that you're hearing. So the amount of customization you can do through our app is remarkable. And then there's something called Find My Hearing Aid.
I was going to say, these are tiny now, right? We talked about the big banana, but that's long gone. And so does the app find the misplaced hearing aid?
They really do. People love this feature. They get a lot of delight. And we actually, not only is it like a delightful device, it actually has truly had an impact on end users. We have all sorts of stories of people who misplace their hearing aids. It happens. They are very tiny. And using the app, you just simply can find out if they're in your room or even if they're down the street, if you left them at a playground. They fell out while you were at a playground. We have stories exactly like that of people recovering their technology just through the use of our app.
Well, that's got to be very handy. Now, what about, now, Dr. Venema calls it tinnitus. I call it tinnitus. So people who have some kind of ringing in their ears, can your hearing aid help with that?
Yeah, actually, every single Link Squared model, it does actually have a built-in what's called a tinnitus sound generator. And what that's meant to do is help to relieve or reduce the symptoms of tinnitus. And we have a wide range of soothing background sounds that can be activated in the hearing instrument, and then using the app can be further customized by that tinnitus patient. So it's an extremely powerful and relevant tool.
I don't want the sound of running water, because then I just have to go to the bathroom all the time. I might want the birds chirping, though, would be better.
Yeah, you're not alone in that.
Well, that's fascinating. So tell us the name of the company again.
Resound.
Okay.
RESOUND. So the sound and hearing it again. Resound.
And the name of the product that has these advanced features.
The Links Squared, or Links 2, as some people like to call it.
As I called it. That's the voice of Victoria McLeod. Thank you so much. It's been great having you on.
Yeah, likewise.
Oh, delightful to chat with you two gentlemen. Stay warm out there.
Oh, yeah.
You will.
No, I think more for you in Winnipeg than us here on the coast. But, yeah. Have a great holiday season.
Merry Christmas to you all.
All right, and we'll be back right here on CL 650.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.